Well, here we are today with Kia Nejatian. Did I say that right, Kia?
You did.
Awesome. Whew, I didn't even double check that before, so that was a good roll. Awesome. We're off to a good start. So Kia
I must say though, if you want to say the proper way, it's Nejatian.
Oh, Nejatian. Well, see, I mean, it could have gone one way or the other.
I get
From now on.
Nejatian. I accepted everything at this point. Nejatian, like Nejatian, like
From now
whatever floats
on,
your boat.
never going to mispronounce it again.
That's fine.
Kia Nejatian is joining us today. He is the executive director for Reach US, or what we refer to in the Reach family as the Reach Core program, which really focuses on the residential companies that we're scaling and growing in the US. So welcome to the team, Kia, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We're super excited because Kia is joining us to really talk about the brand new 2020 class that has recently been announced a couple of weeks ago. And we're excited to have him really just give us a little bit more intel around who these companies are, a little more detail around what value they're delivering to the market and what we can expect from them in the future. So with that, maybe we'll just jump right in. Does that sound cool to everybody?
Love it.
Works.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with Punch List. So Punch List is the all-in-one closing repair solution. Really interested to hear a little bit more about them and what they're bringing to the market.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to talk about the 8 companies that we've onboarded this year. And starting with Punch List. Punch List is essentially an app for agents to manage a complex task of getting quick home inspection repairs estimates. So essentially they do 3 things, right? They provide a fast and accurate estimate, find the perfect contractor for the job, and manage the process of start to finish. So agents typically don't have a tool that can give them a quick estimate on repairs. So when you're buying a home, actually I just sold my property of mine. I'm looking to buy another. Part of it is you have a contingency of the home inspection. And obviously, timing is very, very important. And being able to get a quote, and some folks like to get multiple quotes, is very important. And essentially, that's what Punch List does. They make it very, very easy and seamless, not only just to get a quote from a reliable contractor, but also manage that process as well. So their end-to-end solution takes care of all closing inspection repairs, which saves agents and home buyers time of chasing down contractors for quotes and the headache of actually getting that work completed. So very, they're addressing a very, niche problem, but it's a real pain point in the industry. So it's very interesting.
I remember seeing the Punch List guys probably a couple of years ago at one of the Inman conferences, and they had, I think it was one of their co-founders dressed up as a boxer. And I was like, that's a way to get your name out in the market, especially when you're creating such a cool, again, end-to-end aspect on that side of things. Speaking end-to-end, and a company that, people know about but probably don't know how to say their name correctly, is Ylopo. So why don't you tell us, how Ylopo is killing it and what they're up to with their future of digital marketing?
For sure. And then Howard, the CEO, has explained this a couple of times by now. So Ylopo is essentially take Monopoly, chop it in half, and flip it on its head. So that's what Ylopo is. And Ylopo is a digital marketing company. So they essentially provide an end-to-end cross-platform online marketing solution for real estate practitioners. So they use their proprietary platform, which is designed to help agents and teams, brokers to generate more business and build a brand. So a very, they do a whole bunch of things. Howard was giving us a demo of their platform. They've thought everything out very thoroughly, and they do a lot of things. But what I want to give you an example of how effective their platform is in terms that everyone can understand. So essentially, they wanted to use Facebook dynamic ads to help their clients remarket to consumers who had previously expressed interest in buying a property. And what they did was they used video slideshows in carousel format. And carousel is essentially when you see a Facebook ad where you can flip through ads on the same exact box. That's what a carousel ad is. You have multiple different videos or pictures and you can flip through them. And essentially, what they did was they served those ads to the database, which resulted in 4 times higher click-through rates than a single image dynamic ad. And this resulted in 36 times return on ad spend. So if you're in real estate, like trust me and do yourself a favor, just optimize your ads by using Ylopo, because I actually did this for my parents. And unless you know what you're really doing, it's very hard to optimize your ad spend.
Totally. And it's interesting. I listened to a podcast this morning, and I love how you just sort of left that off with, if you're an agent, do yourself a favor. I think this is this period of time where agents really need to look at the favors they need to do themselves. And this leads me to, it's why I love the next company, Transactly, because the podcast that I listened to this morning talked about, where the agent focus ought to be, and the fact that agents will always be required, but ought to really take this time to think about where their highest value time is spent. Transactly is an amazing solution that allows them to really address those low quality tasks that they do. So I want to hear a little bit more about them.
For sure, yeah. So Transactly is a platform where agents, teams, and brokerages hire tech-enabled transaction coordinators. So they use automation, transparency, and collaboration to close transactions, essentially. So if you're a busy real estate agent and have reached your peak capacity and can't reasonably manage more clients, or if you're a broker and just want to provide more transaction assistance to your agents, this is a solution for you, right? So Transactly does this without having folks commit to salaries or overhead. They essentially provide US-based transaction coordinators, and these transaction coordinators are all in different time zones. So it's as if they were in your time zone and working for you locally. And they essentially manage from contract to close, so all the tasks in between. And they do this by managing everything transparently on a platform that integrates with your back office, compliance, and CRM systems.
Very cool.
I think there's an emerging trend here of making life simpler. And I got to tell you, the next company here, I wish that they were around in my former career in oil and gas, because they would have made my life so much easier. So RealX, right? So an online exchange of property rights, but oil and gas rights, solar rights, wind rights, all these new asset classes, especially in times like now where you're looking to monetize these assets. Now they're bringing it all together in one place where you can have that exchange. So tell me more about RealX.
Yeah, for sure. This is a prime example of finding a pain point in the industry and just going after it. And they've done an incredible job. So RealX is America's first online, I should say largest too, property rights exchange. So they're revolutionizing the way property rights are bought, sold, and leased. They simply connect buyers with landowners, so very, very much like any listing platform that you know of, to lease property for solar, wind, oil and gas, timber, cell towers, you name it. So, for example, if you're a solar developer and you want to lease land, it's a very tedious task. You essentially would start sending solicitation mail. So literally, like writing a mail and like a snail mail when I say mail, and mailing it to folks, landowners, to see if they're interested in selling their property. Then you would get your team to start cold calling people, right? And you would even go as far as hiring folks to go door knocking. So RealX, all you do is very simple. You log in, you search for the available land that was registered by a professional real estate agent on behalf of their clients that actually want to purpose the land for that reason, right? So for example, solar. And the parties are essentially connected the same day and they sign a lease within weeks. Very, very simple.
Very cool. So, following on the, kind of property rights, land component, and, this is what's interesting is typically when we think about real estate technology, especially on the residential side, we're thinking around things like the transaction, around things like facilitating, search or information. But the next company, so RealX, as well as the next company, are really focused in a little bit of a different space. And so CartoFront is really focused on efficiently providing, I guess, efficient access to flood insurance. So tell us a bit about them and why they're a great fit for the cohort.
For sure, and I love Cohort and what they're doing. I'm in the process of actually looking for a home, and I'm trying to calculate how much it costs, like literally from everything, from my mortgage to HOA fees to insurance, how much it'll cost. Like I'm really trying to budget myself. And one thing that folks are not very familiar with, and it's hard to understand, is insurance, right? Insurance is a very complex industry, and it's not very easily understood. So Carterfront is providing a digital solution that makes it easier for insurance providers to explain and sell flood insurance to homeowners, right? Very niche. These guys are going to absolutely kill it in some of the states that are facing real issues like this, right? Like Louisiana, like Florida, you name it. So large MLSs essentially have a mission critical business challenge regarding flood risk. And Carterfront provides a software that solves a problem by embedding into MLS and providing a one-click flood quote.
Wow.
And this, yeah, so essentially you can get a flood quote and information on that right on the screen. Very, very simple. They're trying to make it super seamless for you to buy insurance, which is something not a lot of folks are familiar with.
Very, very cool. And again, this it's almost like we wrote this then in a way that it works, but you know, it kind of just worked out this way because we're going from, you know, making the insurance sales process being really, really simple to, which I think is probably the most important thing to make simple, is making money move, which brings us to our next company. And so, you know, with obviously all the dollars and cents that flow through real estate transaction and all the legacy elements in it that play, you've got a company like Earnest coming to the table and saying, hey, we've got a better way to do this.
Oh, for sure. And I can personally relate to Earnest, and I'll explain in a second. But yeah, Earnest is essentially changing how money moves in real estate, right? They do this by allowing buyers to securely and electronically deposit funds directly to an escrow holder. So they keep agents, buyers, and escrow holders in the loop by automating emails and sending like tracking information. And obviously, like when I was selling my property, I kid you not, I literally would ping the escrow holder. I'm like, okay, when does escrow close? When does my money get deposited into my account? It's something that people like worry about, right? It's a big chunk of change.
Totally.
And let me tell you, I used to work in payments in my past life. I worked for a fintech startup called Cash, and this is very similar to what we were solving. So Earnest uses ACH to solve this problem. And that's what we did. Well, fintech, essentially the fintech startup that I worked for, what we did was we helped retailers avoid credit card fees, which is on average 3%, by using ACH and helping them prevent chargebacks. And chargebacks is a huge pain point in the retail industry.
Such a pain point. Such a pain point.
For sure. So if you know anything about online retailers and even brick and mortar, there's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of chargebacks, and that's a real pain point for retailers. They lose a ton of money because of chargebacks. And Earnest is essentially solving the same problem. They're using ACH and they're providing a no pullback. So essentially once the funds are through, those funds are good. So very, very interesting startup for sure.
Love that. And you know, it's interesting because you know, carrying on with the theme of, you know, solving all of these niche issues, then comes along Modus, right? And Modus is doing some pretty, I think, fundamental things in the real estate transaction space, and everybody is after kind of that end-to-end solution, but Modus really seems to have taken a unique approach to this. So tell us a bit more about Modus.
For sure. I'm super excited for Modus, as I am for all the companies in our cohort. But Modus is building the operational backbone that powers real estate transactions. We all know, I mean, real estate is pretty broken. There's a lot of paperwork. It's very tedious. When I was buying my first property in the United States, I'm Canadian, very different process up there. There was just a ton of disclosures you have to sign. There's just a ton of paperwork, all manual. And it's just like impossible to keep up with everything. You know, especially given what happened with the mortgage crisis, it's become very, very difficult to purchase a property. Especially if this, if it's your first time around buying a property, you're just simply overwhelmed. And beyond that, real estate agents have a ton of work to do, right? Everyone is always challenging commissions, trying to lower commissions. The industry is changing as a whole. And so what really needs to happen is we need to start automating things and making workflows to make the real estate transaction simple, right? And Modus is just doing this. They're literally doing this, starting with title and escrow. Super excited for these guys. They're doing a ton of work that I can't just simply explain in a nutshell in this segment. But put it this way, Pete Flint, who was founder of Trulia, is backing Modus. And that's a big statement.
Very cool.
So speaking of big statements, this one's kind of out of the box. So it's our last company on the list here. And I was like, you know what? How do I think of them this way? And I think they are the Sonos of home security. That's really how I'm viewing this next company. Because you know what? I love my Sonos. It's so easy. I feel like I have a professional sound system in my house, and all I did was plug it into the wall. Oh wait, Kangaroo is doing the exact same thing for home security.
Brilliant.
It's true. I'm super excited for Kangaroo. And funny enough, I just moved into a new apartment, and I'm all about like smart homes now. And I'm trying to I'm literally using my voice assistant for everything now. To put together my to-do list and turn off the lights and whatever it may be.
You sent us that last email with a voice assistant, didn't you?
I'm telling you, I used to work for Plug and Play, and we're all about innovation at Plug and Play. It's an innovation platform, and voice assistance is the future. As much as I hate emails, I write emails using voice, and I just talk to Siri all the time, and it's made it a little bit better. And you guys know how much I just hate doing things the old way. I'm always finding new ways to do things efficiently and effectively. So Kangaroo essentially provides an affordable, very easy to use, do-it-yourself home monitoring solutions, right? It's right out of the box, very affordable. If you were to think about Ring or any of these folks that are in this space, Kangaroo is doing what they're doing, but they're making it super easy to do it yourself and incredibly affordable. They recently launched a doorbell a couple of weeks ago, actually. Same size as Ring, but the cost, literally a fraction of the cost, $20.
Wow.
For $20 can have. And
you can install it yourself.
It's all plug and play. It's all do it yourself. Very, very interesting, and I'm super excited for these guys. I mean, they're, when you're looking at some of these technologies that are coming to market, not a lot of folks can afford them, right? They're not made for the mass market, right? So if you think about, just hypothetically speaking, AR, VR headsets, right? When they first came, they were very expensive. They had a lot of cool applications in real estate, construction, and industry 4.0, you name it. But they just were too expensive. And when all these new things came into the home, like all these tech, at the time, they're very expensive, but Kangaroo has done an exceptional job making it affordable so everyone can afford, having a smart home.
And no one needs to come into your home. So for COVID, right? Like, to that point, right? You get to do it in the socially distanced world. So needless to say, but sure. This has been a ton of fun. So awesome to meet the companies. Lynette, I don't know if you have any closing comments, but Kia, can't thank you enough for coming on and talking through the 2020 core program.
We're excited. We're excited to meet them all. We're actually excited to meet you in person one day. Yeah, it's like
believe it or not, I do have a bottom half of my body. It's not just
all say the same thing, but it's so excited about this particular class. We are massively excited to bring on our own cohort to join them. Thanks so much, Kia. Good luck with the move, and we'll look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right.